What's up everyone, it's Charles here with Rocket Punch Armor to do a very special review. Today we have the UM-01 Ultimetal Optimus Prime. Now before we continue, let's get the most obvious thing out of the way before there's 1,000 comments. Yes, it's a transformer that doesn't transform, but that is not the point of this thing. This is more for collectors like me that love diecast robots. What they've done is really taken everything that Artstorm / Fewture has done with their earlier diecast robots and just joined it together with the Transformers line. This is what allows them to use the Transformers name and licensing as long as it doesn't transform. So if non-transforming Transformers are not your thing, you may want to look elsewhere, but if you want to check out one of the most amazing Optimus Primes, if not the most amazing Optimus Prime, stay tuned. You'll notice he's unarmored, but down here at the base of his feet is all the bits and pieces that do need to be attached. But before we do that, let's check out the details on this figure. This guy was made with the hardcore Transformer fan in mind and collector. Just look at the detail on this. It is a very expensive figure. You are looking at about $1,000 retail. Maybe even more now since you can't find it anywhere. But you can see where all the money has been put. You get a beautiful head sculpt with panel lining. You get beautiful red paint. And look at those clear lenses on the cab lights. And you can see right through the windows. You get the matrix compartment there. And look at these pistons here. What I want to do is show you how these pistons work. Check this out. You can see the pistons are actually going in and out. And as we move down here, the legs, you'll see the hip joints. See all this gray here that looks metally? Well, that's because it is metal. This is die-cast metal. As a matter of fact, the frame on this guy is metal, which makes him insanely heavy. If you guys follow my Facebook, you will know that I threw my back out taking this box and putting it into my car. You can almost get yourself into a drunken stupor just staring at all the details. I mean, this is I don't know any other word besides sexy to describe this, to be honest. I mean, just look at that insane amount of detail. Again, the pistons really do it. And I love the little different colors that they use, like the gold and then little red highlights and then the like bronzish color here, and of course you have the chrome. And as you move down, you'll see more pistons. Look at just the intricate work on the knee area there. There's even some nice paneling on the outside of the leg. And then we'll just head right up here to the hand, actually the wrist and forearm, so I can show you the way the pistons work here on the wrists themselves. We turn this around, just move this back and forth this way so you can see the pistons working. And of course the hands are also articulated. You have the thumb here, which is multi-jointed, all right, just like, you know, those aftermarket Transformers hands. It is ball jointed here, so the fingers do splay out a bit. And it does have really nice sculpting. Another detail I wanted you guys to check out while we're looking at it up close is that hose. It's actually got a hose there with a little covering like you would find on, you know, cars or electrical equipment with a lot of wires. Now let's take a look at the back here. Check out some of the detail on the back. Again, this figure has enormous amounts of detail, even down to having different shades of red to really highlight some of the sculpting there. And you get some nice sculpting and design here on the arm. You'll also notice the pistons from the back. Then from back here you can see how beefy the knees are, and as we scroll down you'll see some tires. Again, this is not transformed, but they did leave the tire detail there, and they almost feel like solid rubber. They're not really squishy, but you can kind of feel that they're a little bit grippy. We'll take a look at the beefy ankles here also. Now before I move ahead, I'm not sure if you guys checked out Kuma Styles' review of this guy, but he was, as far as I know, the first person to put up a review, and he really manhandled his. Like, all the metal pieces were clanking around, so I have to give him incredible props for taking such an expensive figure and really manhandling it. Now me, myself, I'm a little more careful because this is probably the most expensive piece in my collection. So for the most part, this video really is just to get up really close and check out the details. But I will show you the articulation. If we move to the head here, he's got you know, your typical articulation that you would expect. The only thing, he doesn't really look up, and that's fine by me. I know there's electronics, which we'll check out in a little bit. He does look down somewhat and to the side, and the neck has some really nice detail. If we take a look really close at the neck, you'll see some pistons there. They're not functional pistons, but you know, I wouldn't expect them to be when they're that small. And then the shoulders are ratcheted. You have to hold this guy because he is heavy and the ratchets are really strong. But you can hear that and see it. And of course the arms do move this way, forward and back just a tad. There's a little ratchet there. Then I showed you guys the pistons in the waist, and it does rotate this way and back. Then you have the bicep swivel this way, which is also ratcheted, right? And then the elbow joints, which are double jointed, as you can see. And by moving the arms out of the way, I am able to show you here the hips, which will not turn. So don't put a lot of force on this, guys. I do suggest reading the instructions. But you have to actually push the hips in to be able to turn them this way. And then when you let go, they lock and they don't move, which is a must for a figure that weighs this much. And you also get a thigh swivel. And there's also a safety built into the knees. You'll see there's a button right there. You have to hold that, push it in so you can actually move the knees. And as you move them, you'll see that this part shifted down. You'll see there's no space here and there's a space there. That allows this piece to shift down when it's actually attached. And that also allows the movement of these pistons here. And the hips will ratchet out this way. And there's actually skirts that do fold out of the way. And before I continue, I am showing you a lot of the articulation without the body armor, because a lot of the body armor is actually attached with magnets. And trying to articulate this guy with all that stuff attached, everything's going to be falling, and I'm not about to chip this expensive figure. So my suggestion is leave off as much armor as you can before you pose it, and then once you're done posing, you can attach the rest. That'll minimize any chipping and headaches. Now before I go ahead and attach the armor, I wanted to show you that the armor, if we take a look here, has detail on the back. It doesn't really need it. You don't see it when it's attached, so it's kind of a cool thing that they added that on there. And also you'll see the back here on the shin guard here. It also has some nice detailing, and this one you can see the magnet. Now the difference between these two panels, this one's plastic, this one's metal. The whole outside here, and the foot is probably the heaviest, or maybe not the heaviest, but for the size, it's just really thick. This is all metal. I've skipped ahead a little bit here. I've attached half of the armor, which is an excellent thing to do. In case you can't decide whether to leave it all armor or no armor, you have the choice of doing both. Now my experience is absolutely nothing that you really can compare this to. I know they have like those high-end statues, but they're exactly that, statues, and this pretty much is a statue, except it's like fully articulated. Aside from that, there's really nothing out there. Although there is one robot it does remind me of, which is this guy right here, the DX Mazinger Z Chogokin. This guy also took the Diecast Super Robot Collector world by storm, just the same way this Ultimetal thing did. And you can see it's very similar. I wouldn't doubt it if it was very inspired by this guy. So we have the Ultimetal Prime being one of the most expensive Transformers you can buy, and we have the DX Mazinger Z being one of the most expensive modern Chogokin you can buy. I didn't think I was going to leave you out of all the fun of attaching the parts, did you? Of course not. Since adding the armor is such a sexy thing, I'll try and make this as sexy as possible. I wanted to bring a few figures out here into the mix. Right here is a Fewture EX Gouken Getter Dragon. Then we have an EX Gouken Optimus Prime, which is another Fewture product. And then of course back here we have the Hasbro Masterpiece Optimus Prime. And the reason I have these guys out here is because these two guys here, are the one on the left and the one on the right, are pretty much the idea behind the Ultimetal Prime. You're taking the solid diecast goodness of the Super Robot and combining it with the looks of a Masterpiece figure. So you're essentially taking Super Robots and Transformers, two things that I love, and just making them have sweet, passionate love together to make the Ultimetal Prime. Now, the first foray, or at least the first release that Fewture did with a non-transforming robot, or non-transforming transformer, was this little EX Goken Optimus Prime, which was actually the second release. The first one was Alpha Trion, which I did a review of. And this one, you know, it's not as popular as I thought it would be. But I don't know if they were just testing the waters, but boy, did they go crazy, because they went from this little thing to that massive dude in the background here. And of course, I left a piece of armor off. Just go ahead and attach that. That's how you know you're dealing with a professional reviewer, when there's little things like this that happen. But now, if you guys have seen some of my past Fewture reviews, I've always complained about little mess-ups and stuff like that. I haven't really had a chance to really look this over. I don't see anything that really stands out. There is some slight scuffing right on the little tip of his mouth there, which is kind of really not noticeable. And the only thing I see, which is typical Fewture, is the touching up of the paint, which is, you can see slight discoloration. I have to hold it on an angle. But what they do in the Fewture factory is when they find a chip, they just grab a brush, literally a brush, you can see the brush marks, and take whatever silver paint or whatever color closely matches what they're trying to touch up, and then they just touch it up. It's no big deal. It's only a $1,000 Optimus Prime. So now we got all the armor on him. Let's just take a quick look-see here in the front. So you can see very masterpiece looking. I'm sure they based it off the Masterpiece. And I love the way you can see the little pistons here. And while we're down here, you can actually see that, whoops, well, that came off, but you can actually see that these panels do move, which is a nice little touch. As you can see, you know, handling the figure, parts are going to come off. They are held down with magnets, which is one of the reasons I didn't do articulation while it was with the armor on. I think this is just meant to look really nice and not be handled too much. Now, next thing I want to show you guys is the little matrix here. It's got a small version and a large version. Alright, so we're going to start off with the small one, because the small one actually is the one that goes into his chest here. So we'll open that up, and you want to be careful doing so you don't chip anything. Bring this up. This opens up this way, and then we will place the matrix right inside. And while we're at it, we're actually going to close this for now. So we got the matrix in there. Alright, so we're going to close this, and we're going to move on to the awesome electronic gimmick. So I have that ready to show you in just a moment. But to use the electronics, you'll see back here he's got 3 AAA batteries. Now thankfully you don't have to leave them with the batteries exposed like that. That's just so I can show you. But you're going to need batteries. And I'll tell you which ones you need. My suggestion is to go to the dollar store, so that's what I did. I went to the dollar store that charges more than $1 and got 6 AAA, so 3 of them go into Optimus Prime. The other 3 will go into the base, which I'll show you later. And I was at a flea market, but these are available in some dollar stores, and I bought myself a crap load of LR41s. Now you want to be careful, because they don't always say LR41s or whatever. These are equivalents, so you'll see the numbers there if you find those. These are the smaller ones, which will go into the bigger matrix, right? And these are the LR44s. Again, they have different, what do you call it, equivalents. You'll see some of the numbers there. In case you can't find them, you can get those. These go into the remote itself. Once you got the dollar store batteries or whatever you want in there, you can turn it on. And speaking of dollar store batteries, don't leave these cheap batteries in there forever, because they will probably explode and melt your toy in half. So that's just for at least demo here and for you to have fun. Next, you want to grab the remote, which I have here. It's meant to look like a key, almost like, you know, plug-in kind of key. It's got some nice sculpted details. Obviously the buttons, a little infrared sensor, LED, whatever in there, and the back is a little detail. And you'll see if I pull this out, it's got the batteries in there. You can't mess it up, because they're kind of like keyed in to only go one way, and then you just pop it back in. Alright, and to turn it on, you actually have to hit this round button. So to turn it on, what we're going to do right now is it'll make the what do you call it, the transforming sound. So we'll do that. Alright, so the first button, now that it's activated, will cause the cab lights to light up and the eyes. So we'll check that out. Alright, and then they'll stay on, so you want to shut them off by hitting the button again. And you make sure you point the remote at it. The second one turns on the lights of the eyes, and also for the matrix here. So we'll go ahead and check that out. You'll see the matrix is all nice and lit up. And then just hit it once again to shut it off. And then the third button here will actually have them say Optimus Prime in a bunch of different ways, so we'll check that out.
I am Optimus Prime. 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 I am Optimus Prime.
So I think you get the idea. I don't know how many times he actually says I'm Optimus Prime, but I'm sure he keeps going on for a while. So he's got a fourth button, which actually has phrases that you might be familiar with. So we'll go ahead and press that. We'll go through a couple, not all of them.
This is Optimus Prime. Do you read me? The Decepticons must be stopped. Receiving a message from Autobot headquarters. Ironhide. Come in, Ironhide. Do you read me, old friend? We've intercepted a coded message from Soundwave. Use your comlink to decode the message. A data file has been sent to your comlink. Ratchet, are you receiving this transmission? Soundwave is attempting to jam this signal. Answer before it's too late.
Alright, so I know it has a few more, but that's just an example. And that actually sort of reminds me of this toy here.
I am Optimus Prime. The Decepticons must be stopped. Autobots, transform and roll out.
Very similar and almost the same size, so I thought that was pretty neat. What's cool about that whole feature is that it still allows movement of the head, and it's not noisy. It does make a little bit of a clicking when the mouth goes back and forth, but it doesn't have like a whirring motor sound, which would be annoying. I'm assuming there's some kind of magnetic feature like a solenoid or something. Another thing you want to look out for is don't have the head facing all the way down, because you'll have the chin resting up against the neck. So when you go to hit the button, he's not going to speak. And I don't know if that'll mess it up, but just don't do it. So yeah, something to look out for. And then just to shut it off, you just hit the button again. And you'll notice now the other buttons don't work. So if you guys are freaking out because your buttons don't work, just hit this, make sure it makes the on transforming sound. And then to shut it off, hit it again. That's it. Next thing I want to show you is the base, which I've already pre-assembled. I got the long metal rod already pre-installed. You see the blaster there. And it's very highly detailed. It's got a nice Autobot logo with some clear red plastic and also some tube detailing here. And this spot right here is actually for the remote. So I'll go ahead and put that on there. And it's also got, I showed you this before, the matrix, the big matrix, and it's got this little stand here for the matrix, which is actually also a button to get the base to light up. And to use that, you just got to place it down here and push down, and that makes contact with the base. Now this base requires 3 batteries, which load up from underneath. It's just a little tab open door, and just pop the 3 batteries in, and you're all set. And we're going to place this here. Now the reason the stand uses 3 AAAs is because it's got a light up feature, and it's this here. I showed it before. It's a button. All you do is press it in and it will light up. Let's just shut off a couple of lights here so you can get the full effect. Now, like any good Japanese figure, it does have a butthole where you can plug something in. In this case would be this metal thing, which is, it's really nice. It's a metal rod and it's got this metal thing. So this is going to screw right into his butt. So we do need to open this up and use my special tool, which is actually my Bluetooth. It's the only pointy thing I can find. And you'll see a hole right back there with a threaded thing going on in there. So what you want to do is, you know, unscrew this a bit so it slides easy, and then you want to insert that threaded rod right into his butt there. It's not really his butt, it's like above his butt, but I still like to say butt. It's right in his crack. And just tighten that up. And there you are. And then just tighten this thing here, like so. And now he's on the stand, and hopefully he'll never fall. It's highly doubtful he would ever fall off this stand because he is nice and heavy and he's got a wide footprint. But you know, you don't want to mess around when it comes to something of this price. So it's a cool thing that the stand was included. And there's also a really stupid tiny little stand. It's like a little, it's almost the same size as that Autobot logo in there. I don't even have it out here because it's so dumb. But it's about that size, and it's a little plastic thing when you put the metal rod. I wouldn't suggest using that. Actually, I'll show it to you guys. It's right here. I took it out. Like I said, it's about the same size as that Autobot logo. It's pretty stupid. I think, I don't know anybody who would want to use this with this figure to hold it up. I don't care if there's no space for it. If you're going to spend this much money, you make space for it. So you can spray it gold and wear it around your neck as jewelry if you want, or you can use it as an athlete's cup. Oh my god, I almost had a heart attack here. I was going to show you guys the Energon axe, and his hand came off and it looked broken. So thank god it's not broken. But here we are, since we're in the middle of doing this. You would just fit the fist in there. This popped off while I was doing it, and then pop the fist back in right here. And yeah, so he's holding an Energon axe. And as a matter of fact, let's just take a look at that. Can you believe that this, whoa, gigantic figure, his fist is only held on by this little peg? That seems amazing to me, and of course I'm not going to be able to get his hand out, so that's going to suck. So I am most definitely never going to do that again, because you'll see that mark right there. That's actually paint that came off of the fist. So they're not molded in blue, it doesn't look like. It looks like they're molded in white or some other color, and you'll see the scuff there and on the other side. Way to go, way to go. Anyway, look at that peg. It's rather small, I think, for the weight. And I mean, it's kind of firm in there, but I'm sure, you know, eventually it would get a little looser. So hopefully I save a few of you guys the headache of having to scratch up your expensive hand for a stupid weapon. I also wanted to show you the blaster. It does come apart, a couple pieces come off. This part I thought was going to open. I ended up just popping it off. I don't think it's supposed to open at all, but it's got a circle. That's kind of weird. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but don't take that off. It's not really supposed to come off because it just falls out. If you do otherwise, just crazy glue it back on. But that was me just, you know, fooling around. But it's actually these pieces that come off. You can see the inside of the blaster that way. It slides right back in. And then this bottom section here comes off, so you can see the internal workings of the gun. If you want to use a blaster, there's a little peg that you can flip out this way, otherwise it's plugging up this hole. And there's also a slot in the hand, as that piece falls off, which you can go ahead and put the fingers through here and then plug that in there, and then close the fingers. And he looks absolutely great with that blaster on. Not only does it look great, but it also hides that scratch on the hand from the Energon axe. And the last thing I wanted to show you guys is this here, which is the larger matrix. And it does require 2 of the batteries, the LR41s, which just, there's a little cover that pops right off and you slide the batteries in and then it'll work. Put the cover back on, and then to activate it, just pull it apart. And you'll see it's like a laser beam. It's like a freaking laser beam. Look at that. And before you ask, yes, he can.
I am Optimus Prime.
Now this just so happens to be one of those figures that if you slept on the pre-order, you pretty much were out of luck once it's released. Most places, if not all, are already sold out. But if you want to take a chance, there's a link below to BBTS. And if you don't find this guy there's other cool stuff that'll keep you busy. If you like diecast robots, you are going to go crazy with this. Especially if you like diecast robots and Transformers like me. This is absolutely one of the most spectacular things that I own. Worth every penny. And it's going to be nearly impossible to pry this off of my hands. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you're enjoying the videos, please subscribe so I can keep bringing you more videos. And until next time, bye bye.